Hey everybody. So I got an interesting question. I've actually got it a while ago, but I forgot about it. Uh, this is from somebody who's asking, do you think there's anything different about building an audience or finding one for reaching people who aren't necessarily already tuned into a topic? And he talks about maybe it's advertising or how do you do it? And he gives the example of he's interested in constitutional issues and wants to be able to reach out to people who are not constitutional scholars necessarily. And one principle I think is useful here is that if you can't be obviously relevant, you can be obviously interesting. That is, there's certain commentators to whom we'll pay attention on any topic. And like, if you just think about how people consume a podcast like Joe Rogan, yeah, there's some people who just wait for people they're already pre-interested in or topics they're pre-interested in, but there are hundreds of thousands, if not millions of people who tune in just to hear interesting ideas by interesting people, knowing that Joe Rogan is screening for fascinating people, fascinating communicators. And so that's really what you'll need to cultivate if you want to build a real audience of people not already pre-existing for that issue. And like, it can be done, but you have to reach a very high level. And so, I mean, one thing I recommend is studying effective communicators, people who are interesting, people who you'll listen to on any topic. One thing you'll notice is, with writing, for example, I highly recommend reading magazines like The Atlantic, and not just the obvious ones where they're commenting on some major news story, but where they're writing articles about something that people don't have a pre-existing interest in, and see how it is that they grab your attention and maintain your attention. In the area of audio or visual content, then you can look at kind of Rogan guests. The one thing you'll notice there is that one of the best ways to be interesting when people can see you or at least hear you is if you are extremely enthusiastic about what it is you're talking about. One of the things I highly recommend is, you see this in effective communicators of science. Science is something that most Americans had a bad experience with in school and don't gravitate towards, but they do gravitate towards it when they see it explained by people who are very good communicators and obviously deeply enthusiastic. So, take someone like Neil deGrasse Tyson, or take somebody there's a company called Mystery Science, and they have Mystery Doug, who's a wonderful friend of mine, and what they are doing is explaining ideas in an interesting way with deep enthusiasm that you can feel. In fact, before Doug got involved in co-founding this company, I remember we were at his house years ago, and he was explaining with a lot of passion stuff about the stars and the planets and everything like that. And I remember walking out of the house feeling like, oh my gosh, I can't wait to go to Barnes & Noble and buy all the books on astronomy that I can get my hands on. And I remember waking up the next morning and go, wait, no, I don't care about astronomy. I don't care about astronomy except when it's explained by people who deeply care about it and can convey the most fascinating aspects of it. So that is really what you need to strive to be in a subject that people aren't jumping in bed for. And you can do it. There may be people in the field already who have been effective at that, and that's the kind of thing that you can model. Final point is, you can be relevant, but in these fields, but usually what happens, particularly if we're thinking something like Constitution, is you're relevant insofar as you're providing people with ammunition for views they already agree with, right? So if there's conservatives who like what you're saying about, police reform, or who like what you're saying about abortion or something like that, then if you're giving legal arguments that bolster what they already believe, even though those aren't the real reasons they believe it, then yeah, you can build an audience that way, but you're not going to engage be able to engage in persuasion. And in effect, what you'll be stuck with is they will abandon you the second that you put good legal reasoning ahead of views they already hold. So it's not an awful thing to do, certainly not from time to time, but ideally you want to build an audience around people who find you fascinating and interesting, and that comes from being enthusiastic and a great communicator. So give it a shot, and let me know if you guys have any follow-up questions. Always be sure to like the video and share and subscribe to the channel. Talk soon.